Hey everybody, Shawn here. This is our second edition of our vlog, 40 years of teaching in the making. I just finished this amazing day of lessons. Look, I've been at this since 8 o'clock this morning. It is now 7 o'clock at night, and I'm more jazzed right now, I'm a morning person too, than what I was this morning. I mean, just had the most phenomenal day of lessons. So today I want to talk to you guys about ball contact. And we got this new machine that we have right now called the UNEEKOR XR. And it gives you beautiful pictures of, nice clean pictures of the path of the club and the contact with the club face. So we're going to just have a nice little chat about, why you would hit it off the toe or the heel, or, high or low on the face, and those different situations. And so there's a lot of wisdom involved with that. It's not like a cookie cutter, one size fits all. But then you'll notice that as we go along in this lesson, you go, hey, if I focus on those things, I'm going to hit the ball in the center way more often than not. So, like everything else, there's no guarantee. You can't make sure of perfect contact, but you can set the stage to get really solid contact way more often than what you're used to, okay? So, let's start with every golf shot should always have an intermediate point. So I'm going to put another ball here in front, and my shot shape for this lesson is going to be a draw. So my ball and intermediate point are going straight, and my shot is going to go over this little red piece of tape there on the right-hand side. So I'm lining up square. I'm going to look at, I got a lob wedge in my hands right now. I'm going to look at where this club wants to pass as I swing it back and through. So if I'm cutting grass with the sole of the club, because this is a grass cutting tool, and I observe where the club wants to cut. Well, it wants to cut right about there. So the ball should be there. So I'll bring that in, and I'm going to see the blur of this club. Can you see the blur? Is moving through the ball and to the right edge of that intermediate point. So think about it this way. The blur of the club is like the barrel of a rifle. And that rifle has two sights on it, the ball and the intermediate point. So I can see that ball in my peripheral vision. My eyes are facing forward here. So if I allow the club to find the right edge of that intermediate point, this ball now becomes a very precise intersection on the way there. So I'm just going to follow that arc in that direction. And there you have it. Nice center contact right in the center of the club face. So if I try to make sure I hit the ball, let's see if that sucker reads properly here. Here we go. So if we look at the distance between you and the ball, depending upon your focus. So if this is my target, watch what happens. So here's where gravity wants to put me. I bring that to the ball, and now I try to hit the ball. Did you see where that passed? Here. So now, in order for me to hit the ball solid, I'm going to have to stand up. That's early extension. Why would you early extend? Well, if you're trying to hit at the ball, you're extending here. That means you're going to have to extend the body up. As you extend up too much, you hit it off the toe, not up enough, you're hitting it in the heel. Lots of compensations going on. But if I swing through to the target, watch what happens. Going to the target. Going to the target. Now, I'm pretty close to the center of the face, maybe just a hair on the toe, but I've got my full lob wedge distance, which is between 90 and 95 yards. If I swing through the ball to the target, you'll notice my trail arm is collecting here, and full extension of that trail arm is over there. Through versus at. See the difference? So when I'm trying to swing at the ball, the club passes at a very specific distance. And when I'm trying to swing through the ball, that distance is closer. So the distance between you and the ball has to match your focus. That's pretty big. So you'll notice players on the PGA Tour are extending through to the target, and your regular run-of-the-mill normal golfers are looking at trying to hit the golf ball. Very, very different. So now let's look at 7-iron. I'm going to go a little longer club. Send it. Send it out there. Send it out there. That's passing here. So notice my hands are a little further away from my body than with my lob wedge. Because as my clubs get longer, the arms are going to have to pre-deploy a little bit more on an arc that's moving more away from the body. So I observe where that wants to pass when I swing toward the target. Now, when I swing through the arc blur to the right edge of the intermediate point, it feels like the ball is in the way of that. What's it going to feel like when I let momentum go that way? About like that. So that felt really good. And that was just a hair toward the toe. There's 175 carry. When I hit it flush, it's 180. So what am I going to do about that? Nothing. Why? Well, when I take my club, will my fingerprints go exactly in the same grooves of the grip? No. Will my feet go exactly in the same position? No. Watch what happens if I go narrower, wider, narrower, wider. See how my center of gravity changes? So it can't be exactly the same width, exactly the same distance to ball, exactly on the same dimples, exactly here. It'll be similar though. Similar enough so that my next swing could be in the center of the club face. So I'm not going to make any radical, reactions to what I perceive was a slightly off contact. I can't repeat that contact exactly the same way. All right. So I see the blur. I'm going to let momentum whip through that arc blur in that direction. Let's see what happens. Not bad. So I didn't change a thing. Look at contact now. Right in the center of the club face. Same distance. 175. That felt like a really good golf swing. Got my nice little tidy draw. Everything's good. So you see how we don't want to have knee-jerk reactions to errors, because the errors can never be repeated the same way, ever. And the feedback that your brain gets from every shot, like that one registered a little closer to my benchmark. Now the brain's going to use that information, that sound, that feel, that look, and it's going to help me produce my next shot. So I don't know exactly what's coming out of my brain next. And it's going to be with a similar setup. It's going to have a similar feel. And then it's going to continue to produce more streamlined results for me. So never try to fix anything. First, you're not defective. You Pinocchio without the strings. This machine is amazing. And secondly, your results, your reactions, the way your body moves, is in relation, direct relation to your focus. So if I try to hit the ball all the time, and then I look out there and I'm going, well, that's not where I want to go, and then you start getting distracted out there, then it's like, do I go ball? Do I go target? I don't know what's going on. That's where it gets really hairy and very inconsistent. So the first thing you need to do, need a flight plan. I got draw. There's my intermediate point. I'm going to start to the right of the intermediate point, draw it back behind it. Check. Once I have my intermediate point and my flight plan, I have a setup that's going to match that. So the question is, when I let the arm club unit track that arc blur in the direction that is right edge of that intermediate point, will the ball position that I have allow the ball to start that way? Nope. I have to reach back to go that way. Nope. I have to reach forward to go that way. Yep. That feels like it can go that way by itself without any of my help. What about my distance to ball? Nope. I have to go at the ball. I can't go to my target. Nope. I don't have any room to do either. Yes, that feels like I can let momentum track in that direction through that arc blur without me having to reach forward or hang on, without me having to reach back or leap forward or lunge forward. And my grip club relationship is such that when I let it go in that direction, it feels like it wants to draw. It's strong enough and face is closed enough that that's going to happen. So what's left? Well, what's it going to feel like when I let momentum go through that arc blur in that direction? Well, it feels about like this. Oh, man. That felt really good. Guess my machine fell asleep. There we go. Still learning. That works. Let's try that again. Everything's in order. Let momentum go through there. Just a little toey. Whoa, 183. There we go. Can't repeat that. What's it going to feel like when I let momentum go through that arc blur in that direction? Right in the center of the face. Almost center line. 177 carry. So, let's look at if we don't have this arc blur going in that direction. Here's for those of you who tend to hit it off the toe of the club. Now, notice when I'm facing you, if I do a golf swing from here, my swing is essentially going that way, 90 degrees to you. Now, if I try to swing towards you, I can do it over here. My brain needs to see you this way. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. If I'm walking down the street, you call my name, and I turn around this way towards you, you'll go, hey, I thought you were Shawn, but you're too weird, so please keep walking. Because this is not normal. We don't do that. We don't walk the street this way. We don't fire, firearms that way. We don't shoot bow and arrows. We don't drive a car that way. So your forward-facing binocular vision is a major impediment to your golf swing if you don't know what to look for. So that's why we need to come back here. We need to pick an intermediate point with our binocular vision. Then when we get beside it, we see ball and intermediate point in our peripheral vision. So now everything's facing me. Now I take this arc blur of mine and I'm going to send it to the right edge of that intermediate point. So when I do, it feels like I'm facing the corner of the room over there, 30 yards to the right or 30 degrees to the right. 30 degrees to the right for a right-handed person is about 3 degrees to the right in reality. And you can always trust this arc blur moving in that direction. Yes, it's going that way. Yes, it's going that way. Oh, come on. We need a steady light. That is green. Come on now. There we go. Yes. Yes. I see the arc blur. Yes. Yes. So if I stay with that arc blur, the ball starts off to the right, draws back, and you notice how it's feeding the same way every time. And notice how my contact is always decent. If it's off, it's not off by much. So when I stay with my arc blur, the ball becomes a very precise intersection on the way to the target. But what if I go, nah, I want to go to my target? Well, now I just pulled the shot dead left. I also swung away from my target line, which means I'm going to hit it off the toe of the club a lot. Okay? So then, well, I'm always going to the left. Now you start doing stuff like this. This was last night's lesson with a brand new student of mine. And he goes to the top of the backswing. He starts typically a little too outside. A little too outside is because you're getting ready to go in the direction that you feel is straight, but a straight shot is 30 yards left. That's where the pull comes from. So now after pulling too many times, the person starts to drop it to the inside and collapses the arc. Now he's coming too much from the inside and starts shanking the ball. So we got pulls, pushes, shanks, big manipulations. Manipulations in the golf swing are very detrimental to your inner athlete. Manipulations will snuff the inner athlete out and pluck it right out of you. And then all you're left is the NARP, the non-athletic regular person. And we're all athletes, so we want to keep the athlete in the machine. We want to keep reacting to targets with momentum. Momentum means the weight of the arm club unit. So if I said, well, you can't use the arms, you can only use the weight of the arms. So if I do that, if I can only use the weight of my arm club unit, now I got to heave and let the weight of my arm club unit come through. And look at that. Ooh, that felt good. I breezed through so frictionlessly, and you heard how zippy that was, and that was just a hair off a center toward the toe. Now, you can play golf all day, a hair off center toward the toe, but you can't play with a shank, okay? So when you're manipulating the club to put it on path to not go left, where are you going? Well, that's exactly what that is. I asked them, so what are you trying to do? I'm trying not to go left. I'm trying not to pull the shot. Well, let's replace that. Let's do an arc blur and follow the arc blur to the right of the intermediate point with momentum. Cured. No more need for manipulating. And now the takeaway matches. See, this matches right edge of that intermediate point. That don't. That's going left. And if I don't make the correction at the top of the backswing, it's going to go left. It's like if I have a kid on a swing, I want the kid to swing towards you, and I do this. How am I ever going to get that club to move in your direction? I have to manipulate it back in that direction because momentum's out of the equation now. So I want to be able to use momentum to deliver into the direction that I want to go. That direction has to be ironclad. I have to choose it from here. I need an intermediate point. So on every tee box, you should set up with a divot in front of you. So you pick a divot in front of the ball, and you peg your tee behind the divot, and you put the divot into the position where you want to start your ball. Make sense? Now we can use that divot to align the blur of the club to go into that direction. Then the ball becomes a nice intersection on the way out there, and then the contact with the ball becomes a lot more blissful and a lot more solid, okay? So, next little tidbit. You'll notice that when I'm swinging back and through without stopping here, I'm going to cut some grass in both directions. Can you see how my body is coming up and down? But you notice my club keeps passing in the same spot back and through. Well, this up and down motion that you have is something that you use every day, you know, literally hundreds of thousands of times a day. So when you're going up and down when you're taking a walk, those 10,000 steps, well, you went up and down 10,000 times. And when you're going up the stairs, up, down, same thing. When you're swinging the golf club, it's an up, down, proposition. If you try to stay on the same level, then what's going to happen is your legs are going to get locked up. And when your legs get locked up, your arms are going to start crashing into your rib cage. And when they get crashed up against the rib cage, they get diverted offline. So now your direction and your contact are severely compromised. So the arms have to swing freely. When I take my backswing, notice how my arms are out there in front of me. And then follow through, my arms are out in front of me. Out of the way, out of the way. Now, my legs are going to carry the pelvis and rib cage. So my pelvis, my rib cage have to be out of the way of my swinging arm. So notice my arm has to swing freely towards my target, which means my rib cage can't be in the way. My rib cage is intimately connected to my pelvis through my spine. And my spine has these facet joints, which are like Lego blocks, preventing the spine from twisting and cutting your spinal cord. Self-preservation 101. So whether I snap a punch, or I throw a ball, or I swing a golf club to a target, my brain is going to organize this beautiful weight shift and hip clearance to get the job done for me. It's not my job to shift my weight or clear my hips. That's your central nervous system's job. That's a built-in self-preserving system with reflexes, okay? So, out of the way in the backswing, my left arm is free. Out of the way into the finish, my right arm is free. Out of the way, out of the way. That requires an up and down. So don't try to prevent your body from coming up. Now, when it does not come down in the downswing is because you're getting ready to hit the ball. So you'll go up, hit the ball. Now you can't come back down. You top it, you toe it, thin contact, all that stuff, because you're being careful. So anytime you're asking your brain to be careful, you freeze the body. Hey, if I'm a surgeon, I'm a statue, so I can make these fine manipulations to help my patient. If I'm a dentist, I'm a statue. Same thing. If I want to clean the grooves on my club face without scratching the club face, well, I need to be very quiet to be able to do a good job and not scratch up the face. I sit at the table, so I immobilize my body so I can make these fine manipulations to feed my face. That I need to survive. But if I'm a lumberjack, that's going to suck. Because if I take my axe and I heave the axe without moving my body, I'm in trouble. So now my legs are going to use the ground to remove my body out of the way so this arm axe unit can swing freely. Notice how in the process of removing my body out of the way, I came up. I'm not hyperextending my legs. My legs still have a little flex in them, but my brain is not going to jump out of things to hyperextend everything and run the risk of falling over, because 1,000 years ago, if I fell over and broke a leg and I was alone in the woods, I'd be, writing my ticket. So on the downswing, you're not going to hyper squat and put your arm club unit into the ground and run the risk of injuring your throwing arm, because you need that for dinner. So, out of the way, out of the way. Wow, look at that. Beautiful skip of grass. So I am feeling the weight of the arm club unit. I am heaving it, letting it fall through my arc blur into the direction that I want to go. So let's have a look at that. Heave, let it fall through. How cool is that, huh? So really, really solid contact. I was so close to center here. And notice I'm coming up and down, and my arms are all over the place, and I have this beautiful solid shot. So I can't use my arms. So I'm going to heave and let it swing through. Slightly thin, but center contact. And there's 181. So you notice my mistakes are not very large, are they? And my swing is free as a bird. I'm not trying to find a position or make sure of anything. I am already in the process of letting my arms swing freely in a very specific direction that way with more momentum. And I'm making the prediction that if I do it from here, I'm going to miss. If I do it from here, I'm going to top. And if I do it from here, it's going to be pretty flush. There we go. So what's it feel like when I let momentum move through in that direction? Oh, yeah. It feels about like this. Oh, dude, that felt so good. That was pretty much dead center. That was 184 carry. So you notice how I'm getting more and more confident as I go, which means I'm going to be more and more free, and the more I take the foot off the brake, and it's all gas now. I'm just letting it go. But you can't let it go if you don't know where it's going. So that's where you want to go to wisdomingolfpremium.com and go to, hey, this is, you brand new at Wisdom in Golf, go to that section. You want Shawn's core videos, which you're going to get all this information. You go to that section, and then you truly build around what you do awesomely well, because you're built to do this. We just need the right commands, the right prompts, you see? And we get going that way. And if you need my help, we got a beautiful, online coaching session for, you can go Sav, Moo, myself, and we will help you get to there. It's so much fun. Now, if you want to finish with a driver, now I've got the longest lever, the longest arm club unit. So now I need to extend There. Where does this want to pass? Right about there. So now if I let my arm club unit track an arc, I'm going to hit a fade, so I'm going to let it track an arc left edge of that intermediate point. And in so doing, like my eyes are on the tee right now, it feels like I'm going to flick the tip of the tee into a forward somersault in that direction. So what's it going to feel like when I let momentum go that way? Yeah, it feels about like that. So a little toey. I fell a little bit away from that ball, but I think I was able to save that pretty good. That's 280 carry. And it's nothing, no damage. It's only 200 spin to the right, 1800 spin. So that was an excellent miss. There we go. Same again. Let momentum flick the tee in that direction. There, much better. Almost got the fade. That was definitely center contact. There's 299 carry, 320 total, 300 side spin to the left. Now that spin went way down because I hit that in the center of the face, and that was 114 miles an hour club speed and 161 ball speed. Let's see if we can't get one in between those two. Nothing to fix. I see my arc blur going through that tee to the left of the intermediate point. What's it going to feel like when I let momentum do that for me? That was right in the center. Whew, feels good. 280 carry, 300 total. That was only because of launch. See my launch at 13.5? My ball speed was up, my club speed was up, but it was just a little low. It felt really solid. Feel a little low on the face, 2,700 RPM. I need a higher tee. Because if I put that swing and it's in the center of that club face, that's going to be over 300 carry. Because that one felt really good. Feel the weight of the arm club unit. I'm feeling the arm club unit tracking that arc through the tip of the tee. What's it going to feel like when I let momentum go through there? Oh, yeah. Not bad at all. See my carry now just went up to 292, 313 total. Club speed is up to 116. So the arm club unit now has to be a lot more out. If it's too far out, no good. Too far in, got to hang on. Here it feels like it wants to swing nice and free. So I'm going to bring that in. There we go. Now I feel like the tip of the tee is in the way of the center of the club head. All I need to do is use momentum to get that tee to flick into a nice somersault left edge of that intermediate point. Oh, baby. 286 carry. So that's not bad. I would take every one of those out on the golf course, and we just continue along our merry way. Look at that. There's 296 carry, 320 total, 318. Now my launch is at 17.7 and 117 club speed. So you see how we continuously go up, and you notice how as I continue with the driver, I'm just getting more and more confident instead of scratching my head and, you know, making sure and being careful. So if you want to turn your swing loose and really enjoy the game of golf, man, come on over to Wisdom in Golf. Been doing this for 48 years. Been doing it properly for about 30 years. And the students that we have are just being turbocharged in the right direction, because we never have to go the way of be careful, make sure, watch out that you're in these positions, these 10 positions, in order for you to put the club on the ball, which is not the goal. The goal is to take the ball and send it out there into that flight plan. And you are the pilot. You get to choose high, low, fade, draw. And it's way easier than you think. So let's get cracking together, shall we? Come on, let's go.